is the things that we look for when we're touring a property. Jordan, can you silence that phone for us?
Oh, of course. Sorry about that.
Let's do it again. All right. We'll
People
go
calling to buy a house.
Liar. You know it's your wife.
Yeah.
Welcome back to eXp Realty. I'm your host today, Justin Campbell. We're back here in the bunker with Jordan Harvey. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the role we play as a buyer's agent, but most specifically, the top items we look for when we're doing a tour for a home. Jordan, take us off. What's the number one thing you look for?
I think the first thing I'm going to look at is probably the foundation of the house. Making sure it's solid, it's flat, signs of water. Really, you want a solid foundation when you're purchasing a home, because you're going to plan to live there for a while, and less problems from the foundation, the better.
So with the foundation, a lot of times it's going to be hidden. So most of it's going to be obscured in a lot of cases. So that means we're maybe in the utility or mechanical room. We're going to try to see, can we see the block in this area? Is there some mold? Is there something going on here that we can't see? Are there some cracks? So anywhere where we can try to get access to the foundation. How do you weight like a drain tile in that? Is that something that's important? Do you think you check that every time?
Yeah, I think, a drain tile is going to be really, really important. I mean, just going outside too, not only just the inside and checking the utility room, because usually the utility room is the only open space that you're going to see on the inside. But I think the outside is also important, just to kind of walk through and check to see if there are cracks, because water is generally going to come from the outside and into your home. That causes problems. So for me, make sure to walk the property, see if you see any cracks in the cement, any signs that the grading could be leading of the water into your house, and make sure it's going away from the house.
I think just about every time, if I don't do the exterior, if I go right in the house, which is normally where I start, when I get in the basement, if I see some of these items, if I'm seeing some cracking, if it's a poured wall or block, I'll see the cracks and I'll say the gutter's not connected. I'd say like 2/3 of the time when you see those types of issues, it's going to be the gutter.
Oh yeah.
It's probably like the easiest fix.
Gutters are the number one thing to help your house resolve water problems.
Or make them worse if you don't have the water vented far enough away from your house. So the number one issue, obviously with the foundation, if you do have an issue, you're going to need a tissue, right? Could be a lot of expense related to that. What's your number two item that you're looking for after the foundation?
Your mechanicals. So probably your furnace. You're in the utility room after you check the foundation out. So check out the age of the furnace, see if you can kick it on, if it's, the right time of year. I know in the summer it's pretty hard to run a furnace, but when you're in the winter, and make sure the furnace is on and you're getting heat.
I think like when I'm in that mechanical room there, same thing. I'm looking at the furnace. I'm looking at the hot water heater. Is there a water softener? Is it owned? Is it rented? These are going to be probably the biggest expenses that you're going to encounter on, like, it's coming no matter what. Like, eventually you're going to have to replace these things. And the question is, are they in new working order? Are they clean? Do they look like they've been well cared for? Or do they look like they're on their last leg? Because if a furnace goes out, it never happens. Your furnace never quits in October. It's usually January. Okay, so we got foundation and we've got furnace, hot water heater. What's the number three thing that you look for as a buyer's agent?
Roof is probably the top three, or those things. I think with insurance right now, roof is a really important thing to have on a house.
And if the roof is in disrepair, if it's got some damage on there, or if it's exceptionally old, you may not get insurance. And so it's going to be pretty critical. And I think a roof out of pocket, there's really two prices for roofing, right? Is you got the insurance price and the cash out of price, or cash out of pocket. So I think it's like a third to do it out of pocket. But let's just take like an average 2,000 square foot single family home, out of pocket, maybe $8,000 to $15,000 out of pocket.
Yeah, I had my roof replaced in 2024, and it cost me $10,000, and that was on
without insurance.
Without insurance, yeah. So that was cash out of pocket, and that's just for a pretty. We have a pretty steeper roof.
Okay.
It's not quite it's a 2-story house, right? And it bends down at like a 8 by 12. So it's a little bit more of a steepness. So it costs a little bit more. It's only about 680 square feet foundation, so it's not a
Okay.
huge house. Your bigger homes, I generally tell people could range anywhere from about ten to twenty five
Could go
thousand
up to
dollars.
20 pretty
Yeah, if
quickly.
you got multiple steeps and peaks, it's just going to change the price a little bit.
Or if you want to go with a higher end shingle. I would say the roof is probably top of the list as far as like overall cost. So we got three things. We got the foundation, mechanicals, roof. Number four, what are you looking for when you're in the house?
Electrical panel.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah, try to see if there's any burnt wires or any kind of issues that you might run into in the electrical. Obviously, you can't test everything out during a showing. You have to have an inspection done to see if the outlets and things are working properly. But I think just opening the box and making sure things aren't like any signs of fire are generally a good sign, and see if there's any open slots left for you to add some extra lighting or anything like a hot tub, some extra spaces in the panel to add some new fixtures.
Which would be really important is if you had a buyer who was like, "Oh, we're gonna we're gonna plug in our car here, right?" And you see the type of service you have. The only way that they're going to be able to do this in some cases, they're going to have to upgrade the service. And there's some panels that you're not going to be able to get insurance. You're not going to be able to get insurance if you have certain types of panels. If it's going to be the screw and fuse types. And another thing that can be a really big issue, especially in older Minneapolis homes, is the knob and tube. But that's going to be something we'll see more in the attic, or sometimes you'll see some of the knob and tube in the basement.
Yeah, I mean, it's generally covered, so it's really hard to tell what happens in a knob and tube type of area. I'd say the biggest things are, the porch and the attic are probably your biggest places that you're going to find knob and tube wiring in an old home that was built in the early 1900s. I actually personally just had all my knob and tube replaced.
Removed.
Removed,
They
and
take it out. Where insurance companies, they won't even, if I'm wrong, tell me, but it just can't even be in the house. It has nothing to do with even if it's connected or not. They don't want it at all.
I think it's going to cause problems with your insurance. It's almost impossible to get insurance with knob and tube. It's out there. It just takes a little bit. I'd hire insurance agent to go out and find it for you. If you do happen to find it. For me, it was a huge surprise. You might not know you have it until you break the wall, and
Or
you're
looking at
you're
if you get in
welcomed
the
with a
attic,
great
yeah.
surprise of knob and tube. Best thing is to get it out because it is a fire hazard. Just make sure it's safe. Run efficiently, and I think it's good to get it replaced.
All right, so we got 5 items. Number 6, I'll jump in here, windows. So that's probably, I'm usually going to operate at least a third of the windows. I don't necessarily go through and open every single window, but I will go into that living room and I want to make sure that one window works. If that one window doesn't work, then I'm going to be checking a little bit more as we go. Some of those older houses, they're going to have those weights on the exterior that are kind of like built into the wall. If those things don't get functioned, I don't know what's that called when the weight is in the window.
The string pulley.
Yeah, with the metal weights in there.
I think
The
I know
original
what you're
houses.
talking.
Yeah. If those aren't functioning, if you haven't used it in a while, it's going to swell up, and then that's it. Like you're totally screwed. There's really nothing you can do. You
You
have
can
to replace the
open
window.
and close it. That's it. Yeah.
So I go
That's a
through the
lot.
windows. If you got windows that are in disrepair, that can be another place where you're going to get caught up on cost. It could be depending on the type of window. And the other part of with windows is it doesn't necessarily make sense to replace windows unless they're not functioning. We haven't really had like the leaps and bounds in energy efficiency where you get the money back in the window, but you can get function. So if the windows aren't working, that can be an issue. So windows, what do you got for that'd be number 7?
Just kind of add on windows. A good tip is kind of check the paneling, see if you see that fog. If you see that fog on the window, that's a good indication that you need to get your window replaced. It loses that argon gas, which helps with insulation. It's not going to be working correctly. So if you do see that fog, that happens make sure to replace those windows. But yeah, next one, a big thing when I'm, touring a house is probably just signs of, water damage all throughout the house. Right. I know we kind of poked a little bit at the foundation, but there could be just any leaks from the roof or plumbing that kind of happened in the ceiling. I'm going to be kind of just taking a good peek at the ceilings
Yeah.
and make sure there's no signs of water happening.
Yeah, I think I will, that's usually every room I'm doing that, where I'm just kind of checking those corners. I'm looking if there's any discoloration, if maybe there was some water damage there that was concealed. Like maybe they had a little water come in and then they tried to not make it so obvious, so I'm kind of looking for those type of things. And definitely on like a half story, or if you're on a second story, looking along the fireplace, along the bathroom, below a bathroom. I've seen that a few times, is you'll see that water damage that from maybe a tub overflowing or a slow toilet leak. That'll be another one that kind of should pop out at you. I'll usually spot that in advance.
Yeah, you definitely just don't want water in your house at all. It only causes
In your
bigger
tub, you do. In the tub.
Yeah, obviously your showers and sinks, but anywhere else, you just don't want any water in your house whatsoever. Jump on to the next one.
What do you got next?
I got a really good one. This one's
Okay.
fun.
All right.
I love when you're walking through the kitchen and I check out the cabinets.
Okay.
Right. So I try to see if they're custom or if they're just basic standard cabinets. Open up those drawers. I love seeing dovetailed drawers. Right. It just signifies that the seller really bought high quality stuff and had to put it in well.
Which the soft close is good because, kids aren't going to get their fingers. I mean, they could still get their fingers pinched, but they're less likely to get their fingers pinched in a soft close. I saw you on the listing video we did last week where you like open a couple of doors and closed a few drawers. It may look kind of dorky that we're kind of doing that, but it can be very insightful, right? Because if it's like a cheaper material, closing the door is enough. We're going to be like, oh, okay, this isn't a high-end cabinet. This is,
I think parents really like the soft close aspect because it's not as loud. A lot of kids are going to slam those cabinets, and I know you have kids. I'm sure they're just going in and going out and making a ruckus.
Well, I do have an interesting story related to that. Slamming the door is probably drives me nuts. And my daughter, she'd slam every time things weren't going her way. She's probably going to hate me for this. She'd slam that door, and I was like, "You slam that door again, you're going to lose it." And I did. I took her door off, and you'd be surprised. Yeah, I took her door.
Best punishment ever.
Yeah, because they can't slam it anymore.
Taking the privacy away.
Well, yeah, I mean, she still had her privacy, but she couldn't slam the door basically. So, another thing I look for is really the attention to detail. Is like, what type of build was it? We're looking for those higher quality items. Was there attention to detail? Like the built-ins in the older homes are really like that. That's something I'm going to pay attention. Or the arches are curved or they're straight. These are things that kind of tell me that this was a little bit better quality home or somebody spent a little bit more money or time on the property. That's something else I'll focus on. Yeah,
a big thing to look at is is it pre-finished trim or is it on-site finished trim? There's a big difference in seeing on-site finished trim because you don't really see the nail holes that pre-finish does because it's pretty easy to slap it on. You'll see the nail holes on the pre-finish, or the on-site finish is they'll put it in and then they'll have somebody come back out and touch it up and make it look like 100% brand new. Goes a long ways.
It does go a long way. And just so you know, as you're watching this video, what we're talking about runs mostly on autopilot. So if you kind of watched me or Jordan, if you're on a tour with us, I may not be completely present for that first 5 or 10 minutes. I'll kind of check in with a little bit with my buyers. But for the most part, I'm running through my checklist on this property so that I have a really good feel of the overall condition. And so that if it is something they're interested in, I want to have all this information ready to go. And I do this pretty much everything you described. I think I do about pretty much the same. I probably do it maybe a little bit better. I don't know.
I'm pretty good.
We should do a competition where we go in and we see who does it.
See who's got the better detective. Yeah,
see who can find it. Anything else that you really stands out as far as like that you look for on every property for your buyers?
Yeah, really, it's just making sure their needs are met. If they're looking for a backyard or if they want to walk out, those are things we kind of talk about, at the house. A lot of buyers they'll kind of change their mind if they're in love with the house. Like if they say they wanted a backyard, but this has like an extra family room that is just great for entertainment. Some people will compromise flexible. Right on the spot that, not having a backyard will be okay because we have this extra movie theater room that we love to watch movies in. There's always just that aspect of it. And it's just concurring with your client that this meets their needs.
Well, I think that's a pretty good summary. If you're thinking about buying or selling, definitely reach out to Jordan or myself. Jordan's pretty accessible there.
Yeah, thank you. And if you want to see us have a competition on who the better agent is, we'll
Do we arm wrestle, or how do you do like the best agent?
Should we put up clues? We have other agents put other clues in the house, and then we can see who picks up what.
Or if it was like not, like the seller disclosure, find items that are listed that you maybe can't see. I don't know.
That would be a fun one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have to think about this a little bit. All right. Well, thanks so much for jumping in this video, Jordan, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
All right. Thank you.